Chris Lee and Blake Lovell here to preview and predict Auburn's road trip to Oxford, Mississippi to face the Ole Miss Rebels. This game can be seen on the SEC Network at 5 Central. Both teams coming off wins. Let's see. Ken Pomeroy has Auburn is about a 6-point road favorite, and Bart Torvik has it at about 5.5. Before we get into our previews, predictions, reasons why, we remind you that this is brought to you by BetOnline. It is playoff time. The road to Vegas goes through San Francisco and Baltimore. BetOnline is your number one source for playoff odds, stats, trends, and lines with everything from point spreads to hundreds of player performance props. Head to BetOnline today. Stay updated on all the action. BetOnline. The game starts here. Okay, Blake. The computers, and we know how much Blake loves his computers, have got Auburn as a slight road favorite, slight 5.5, 6 points. Line's not out as we're doing this. But Ole Miss has not lost a game at home. Auburn has lost its last 2 on the road. I think this makes for an intriguing matchup.
Yeah, the Allen Flanagan revenge game part 2 here in Oxford.
Yeah.
Didn't go well last time around for the Rebels, but as you said, that was on the road. This one at home, where Ole Miss is, whether by 20 or 1, they've found a way to win games, whether close or not. And so that is definitely something, and you can't ignore the fact that this is not just a team that has won every game at home. It's still a team that's only lost 3 games this season. So they're a confident bunch. Of course, Auburn comes in at 17-4. Bounce back after the 2 road losses at Mississippi State, but this game's on the road. And so it makes, like you said, for a very interesting setup with these 2 teams because you almost feel like, based on the way the SEC is going and kind of just specifically these 2 teams, you kind of throw out some of the things from the first game because how much are really going to apply here in the second game based on the fact that Auburn has struggled away from home at times. Ole Miss is perfect at home. So, yeah, how much do we really take away from the first game? We'll get into it.
Yeah, the Flanagan revenge tour kind of hit a rock the first time, but he's been a big part of what Ole Miss does. Jalen Murray's been really good lately. Matt Morella's been so steady. Ole Miss has got shot blockers inside, which you would think could give Janai Broome some problems, but didn't really in the first matchup. Depth edge obviously goes to Auburn. But to me, the big thing to watch is 3-point shooting. And I think you have noted, certainly for Ole Miss, the home road splits there. And I don't know what Auburn's are. I don't know Auburn's been outstanding anywhere in terms of 3-point shooting, but I know you'd know.
Well, I mean, again, Auburn's not really been outstanding 3-point shooting wise because they're the 208th nationally. That came up a little bit after going 10 of 26 against Vanderbilt, as we noted. But that's the thing. And we said, I mean, they went 5 of 25 at Alabama. We heard, like we mentioned, I think Bruce Pearl, there was a little frustration there, thinking, okay, we took shots. I think many of the shots at Alabama at times were open, but they took shots and they weren't making them from 3. Well, then that kind of escalated a bit, and we brought up kind of the points that Bruce Pearl said after the Mississippi State game, where they go 6 of 24 there. So you go 20%, 25% back-to-back games on the road, but you're shooting that many threes, right? And so you're not making a lot. And so even though they kind of reverted back to that against Vanderbilt by shooting 26, that's a home game. So I think on the road here, to me, as you look at it, and I think we pointed this out before, like, remember, the Appalachian State game is the one that stood out more than any, right? They went 3 of 27.
Also a road game.
Well, right, 3 of 27 from 3. So if you just take that, if you take the games that Auburn has lost just in true road games this year, 3 of 27 from 3 against App State, 5 of 25 against Alabama, 6 of 24 against Mississippi State. You combine all those together, I'm telling you right now, that's not a high percentage. Probably, 18, 19%, something like that maybe. And so, now sure, they went what? I mean, at Arkansas, they went 7 of 18. Guess what I like about that? They only took 18. And, that's what I see there. Vanderbilt, They went 8 of 25 for 32%. So they didn't shoot it well there either. And they shot it 25 times. So I think it's pretty simple here. Like Auburn cannot rely on the three here. They have to go to what works. And I think what's important, Jalen Williams kind of had a bounce back game. I know some of that came from three, but Jalen Williams still, I think, a pretty, versatile scorer. He can score in different ways. He can get to the free throw line, those kind of things. And of course, everything's got to run through Janai Broome. And so if Auburn can be disciplined with that and they can just not let Ole Miss dictate the shots that they're going to take, then I think Auburn's going to be okay here. But the problem is we've just seen it time and time again, seemingly, where sometimes teams are just willing to sit back and say, hey, this Auburn team is not shooting well right now. We're going to take our chances. And my guess is if you were Chris Beard, wouldn't you do the same thing? Like, wouldn't you just sit back and say, hey, we're going to let this team shoot 33s if they want to, because I'm not sure even their coach wants them to shoot 33s based on some of their recent performances on the road. So,
well, what you don't want is Janai Broome going 22 and 15 with 6 blocks, which he can do, and Jalen Williams giving you 20. I'm with you. I make them beat me that way, and that's where State's got 2 erasers underneath. Now they're not much factor offensively. We've discussed the rebounding woes, but it's tough to get shots off over those 2 guys.
Yeah, it is, and I mean that's look. You talking about the Allen Flanagan revenge game and all that? Like that's not the biggest storyline to me. The biggest storyline to me is I want to see Auburn's strategy offensively here. I want to see how they come out and play, knowing that the last 2 times they went on the road, we just said it, what the outcome was and the frustrations from their head coach and probably many fans based on how the game played out. So I want to see how they go about that, because again, this is still an Ole Miss team that they're not to the Chris Beard level of defense that you're used to his teams playing yet. They're still not there, even though, like you said, they do have 2 guys that can block a lot of shots, but they're still not overall defensively probably where they want to be yet. But they can get there, and they can still be a good defensive team. And I think that's where, you look at this from that standpoint, and there is going to be a lot of focus from that. But there's also another focus to this. For me, this is all about the 3-point shot, because we said Ole Miss is a top 20 team in the way they shoot the 3. And how have they had success? How are they able to score 86 points against another good team? We mentioned in the Alabama-Mississippi State preview, Mississippi State's a top 10 team in the country in 3-point field goal defense. What did Ole Miss do? At home, in the Pavilion, they came out and go 12 of 30 from 3 for 40%. So Auburn, great defensive team, as we know. And I said, I don't think Auburn's defense is the reason they went 0-2 last week in road games. I think it was more about kind of offensive choices and those kind of things. So, yeah, this is, man, you feel like the game is going to be won or lost here at the 3-point line, just based on kind of where these 2 teams are at. So,
all right, I'm about to put you in a spot. I'm going to have some fun with this.
Of course you are.
I'm very predictable. If computers or whatever, or my eyes tell me a game's a 2 or 3 point game, I almost, unless it's that, it's kind of a toss up. And in this case, 5-6 points is a little less of a toss up. I almost always go who's supposed to win. Road or home doesn't matter. I will pick what I think is clearly the better team. In that case, that is Auburn. And this may be a dumb thing, because Auburn smoked Ole Miss first time around. But we have seen games in the SEC. I've watched a lot of ball in the SEC over the years. Home and road are 2 different places. Ole Miss has been invincible at home so far. The 3-point shooting for Auburn concerns me. The 3-point shooting in that venue, to me, is the separator, as we have discussed. I'm going to do the rare thing, and I'm going to take probably a 5 to 6 point underdog, albeit at home. It's different than doing it on the road. And I'm going to ride with Ole Miss and take my chances.
Can I just tell you, I'm going to be surprised if Auburn is a 5 or 6 point favorite in this game.
What do you think it is?
Max
4?
I think it's going to be lower, because when you add in the fact that Auburn has had the back-to-back road losses, Ole Miss, you said, they're undefeated at home. Boy, if that number's 5 or 6, whew, I'm not a betting man, but that just would feel too high to me. Not to say that Auburn couldn't win the game by 5 or 6, but if you're just looking at it in terms of setting a number, I mean, there seems to be a lot in Ole Miss's favor here, and I think that's where this game gets interesting. Now, the one thing I will say, remember, Ole Miss allows a lot of offensive rebounds. If you look at the percentages, those kind of things, they've been the worst at that in the SEC this season so far, and you could certainly look at the number, right? They're one of the worst nationally just in that regard. So, in Auburn's a team, as we said, if it's Janai Broom getting a couple to clean up things here or there, Cardwell, Williams, all those guys, getting those second chance opportunities will be important because again, you just don't expect Auburn to shoot the ball as well, whether from anywhere on the road. Like that's seemingly a given in SEC play. You just assume teams are going to struggle to do the same kind of things they would do at home. And if you do go back to that first meeting between these two teams, Auburn going 8 of 18 from 3, so they didn't really rely too much on the 3 in that game. They took better shots. They only got to the free throw line 11 times. I think they'll need to get to the free throw line a few more times in this game. Again, if we're going to base on how we see it play out, I think they've got to find a way to get to the line a bit here, knowing that maybe you're not going to shoot it as well. And this is a great free throw shooting team in Auburn, by the way, shooting 77% from the line. So they've got to get Broom touches. They've got to give him all the opportunities he can get to be able to, again, take advantage, I think, of opportunities. But like you said, it's also on the other side of things where how many clean shots are you going to get in this type of atmosphere, this type of environment, knowing that the shot blockers on the other side? It is worth noting, looking back, Sharp had 2 blocks in the first game. Cisse didn't have any. So, I mean, Ole Miss just couldn't do anything. So Ole Miss couldn't do anything offensively.
Is this the part where you twist yourself into a pretzel while making your pick?
Look, Ole Miss went 4-17 from 3 in that game. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, ooh, they turned it over 17 times. Auburn turned over 16 times. We said we're going to really look back at the other game, but now I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, it was here's something, though, of note. We didn't bring this up earlier, I don't think. Auburn did shoot 65% from 2. They went 24-37 against this Ole Miss team. So we talk about, Ole Miss maybe trying to push them inside. It seemingly kind of what happened last time, and Auburn still won the game. So, again, Chris, the power that is held with this pick
in that
here
chair
is a really tough
carries
thing
a lot
to
of
be
weight.
saddled with. It's a tough thing to be saddled with.
Not everybody can hold the throne that Blake Lovell has. Not everybody can do it. Can you do it? I don't know. You may crack under all the pressure we're putting on you this year and just say, I'm done with this. I could see that happening.
Man, here's the thing. You talk about not must wins, but the importance of this game for Ole Miss. Host Auburn, at South Carolina, at Kentucky after that. Yikes. Man, then they go to Mississippi State in a couple weeks. They got South Carolina, Alabama. And then who does Auburn have coming up? This is just a way for me to delay my pick here. Auburn's got Alabama next Wednesday. They're at Florida the next Saturday. Then they're home against South Carolina, Kentucky. Auburn's getting tough too. Make or break time. Oh, yeah, we talked about that in the previous video. Make or break time here, Chris, for both teams.
The shot clock is running down.
And so, oh, man. All right, so I'm going to do one fan base a favor here, okay? Because they beg me to do it these days. So I tried the last time around, if you really think about it, but it didn't work out so well. Auburn fans want me to pick against them here because then that means we will at least put the Southeastern 14 kiss of death in play if I pick against them, right? So we're going to put it in play. I'm going to go with you. I'm also going to pick Ole Miss in this game.
Oh.
So, and remember, I have my motivations for doing so. We got to at least give Auburn a chance here because we all know, come on, please. If I pick them, it's game over. So, but it just feels like right? What are you going against? You're going against an Ole Miss. If you pick Auburn, you're going against Ole Miss, who's undefeated at home. You're also picking a team that, let's call it what it is, has been lackluster on the road the past 2 games. So I think you can justify the Ole Miss pick here. Coming off of a very emotional rivalry win over Mississippi State. Now you get another one back-to-back here against a top-tier team, yeah, I'll pick Ole Miss.
Watching you squirm is the best part of this.
Listen, I cut a 5-minute promo for the Auburn Tigers in this week's power rankings. And
You did.
So for anybody who says I'm disrespecting Auburn, I'm not. Okay. I am telling everybody Auburn's going to be okay. So they may lose this game, and I will probably still think Auburn's going to be okay unless they shoot 35 threes. And then I'm going to be like, all right, they just refuse to stop shooting threes. Then I may be a little worried. But it's a tough spot for Auburn heading into this one. And again, we got to at least give them a chance here by us picking Ole Miss.
We've done that. Hey, we take our SEC basketball serious, so we don't take ourselves too seriously. Hope you liked it. If you did, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. That's free. That helps us out. You can enable your notifications so you know when we've got content coming up. We'll recap this one when it's done. Anyway, for Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. We're Southeastern 14, presented by BetOnline.